Hi, I'm Travis Elliott with National Control Devices, and in this video I'm going to show you how to set up your Teralyst series controller. If you haven't already watched the Teralyst introduction video, I'd recommend watching that, as it does list out all the options and communications available for these controllers. This video is just kind of a setup to help you get your feet wet with using the controller. I hope by the end of the video you'll have a pretty good understanding on how to use your device, but also remember this video doesn't negate the reading of the Teralyst manual. There is still some information in there that you need to know that I'm not going to cover in this video. I'm also going to do some additional pointer videos after this to give you a more in-depth idea of what you can actually do with this controller and how many abilities it really has. But like I said, this is kind of the initial setup video, and hopefully it'll get you up and running. Now, I've got a one-channel Teralyst controller here, and I have a USB module installed, and I have it connected to my computer, and I have it powered up. Now, you're going to need to download and install the USB driver if you're using a USB device or any type of wireless modules in this device. If you're using the ZethMe module in your device, you're going to need to download the Ethernet driver or RealPort driver. All these drivers are available on the resources page of our website under drivers. Now, if you're using the ZethNet module in your device, really all you need is to download the NCD configuration utility, and it will automatically detect that device. So once you've got all that up and going, really, I guess we can get started and start actually using this device. So the first thing you need to do is, of course, install those drivers, and then you need to download the NCD configuration utility. No matter what type of interface you're communicating through, you need the NCD configuration utility, which is a free download on our website. So once you have that, you have the board connected to your computer, you're pretty much ready to get started. So let's go ahead and jump in here and start working. First thing I'm going to do is launch the NCD configuration utility. And now I need to select the COM port from the drop-down box. And it happens to be COM37. You can tell because if you look here, it says USB to serial port COM37. So we'll go ahead and select that. Make sure this radio button's selected if you're using a USB or wireless device. Now, if you're using a ZethMe device, you would actually click on Network and enter the IP address of the device. You can find that IP address using the RealPort software. If you're using a ZethNet controller, you'll click on this ProXR server. Your device should automatically show up in this window. But once you have that selected, just click OK here. And it's going to take us straight to the Teralyst controller page because that's what we have attached to the device. It automatically detected it's a Teralyst controller. Now, to start with, let's take a look at these three tabs on the screen. It took us straight to the Teralyst controller, but let's go ahead and look at Global Device Configuration first. Now, under this tab, there's not really a whole lot you need to do. In fact, I don't recommend really changing anything here unless we instruct you to. So you won't spend really any time there at all. Under the second tab, you're going to use this to load events into your device. We'll get into that more here in a second. And on the third tab is the ProXR Lite Command Set tab. This is going to allow you to manually control the relays. Since I have one relay attached here, I can click this button and turn it on, and click it again to turn it off. And since I only have one relay on my controller, that's really the only button that I would use. Now, over here, you can see set control of relays, and you can say computer controls relay 1 or device controls relay 1. Now, what that actually means is the Teralyst chip controls the relay or my computer controls the relay. If my computer is in control of the relay, that means the Teralyst chip can't actually turn on or turn off that relay. So if it processes any events that need to turn the relay on or off, it won't actually process those events because right now it's not in control of the relay. Okay? We'll get into that more here in a second. That's actually pretty useful whenever you're setting up events into the device. And then this last row of buttons just tells you who has control of relay 1. So I'm not going to do anything with this right here right now because we're going to go ahead and start loading some events into the device. Now, the best thing I could come up with here was to actually come up with a scenario that might be useful to use this device. And the scenario I came up with is actually a speed limit sign for a school. If you ever drive by a school, sometimes they have a flashing light that will turn on, and that indicates that the speed limit has been lowered to maybe 25 miles an hour through that school zone. And they do this whenever the kids are in transit to and from the school, like from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock or from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. That light will come on to tell drivers that the speed limit's lowered. At one point, that actually took a pretty complex PLC and some software to actually run that. Now, with this device, you can control that sign entirely from this board. With one relay is all it really takes to control that sign now. So let's go ahead and add an event here. Now to do that, all you have to do is come down here and click this Add Event button. And you'll see a new event came up in this window here. And this is our event list window. And over here you'll see it says you are currently editing event 1. Okay? And there's a checkbox here to tell me that that event is active. I can deactivate the event by simply clicking that checkbox on and off. Now, there's also some checkboxes over here that says year must match to trigger this event, month must match, day of month, day of week, hour, minute, and second. Now, you always have to have the hour, minute, and second checked, so they're really grayed out and you can't uncheck those. But you can check and uncheck the day of the week, the day of the month, or the month itself, or the year. So let's not get into that too much right now. I'm going to add an event, and I'm going to have this event turn that sign on every single morning at 8 a.m. No matter what, I want that to come on every single day. Okay? So I'm not going to check any of these days, months, or years. I'm just going to say at 8 a.m., 0 minutes, 0 seconds, I want to turn on a relay. And we'll just leave this all banks selected because I actually only have one bank of relays since I only have one relay. And select a relay to control relay 1, so that's correct. So this event is essentially done. That's all there is to it. Now I'll add another event, and this will be event 2, and this event is actually going to turn my sign off. So I'm going to scroll down here to 9 a.m., 0 minutes, 0 seconds, and I want to turn off a relay on all banks, and it's relay 1 I'm controlling. Okay, so essentially that event's done. Now we need to turn the sign back on at 3 p.m. Okay, so I'm going to select my drop down here, select 3 p.m., 0 minutes, 0 seconds. I want to turn on a relay. On all banks, relay 1. And that event is done. Now we'll add another event. And this event is going to turn off the relay at 4 p.m. 0 minutes, 0 seconds, turn off a relay, all banks, relay 1. So essentially using those 4 events, I just turn the sign on at 8, off at 9, on at 3, off at 4. And that's pretty much it, but this is flawed in that the school is not in session on Saturday or Sunday. So how do we set this up so that the relay doesn't come on Saturday and Sunday? Well, there's a couple of ways to do it. The first way would be really long and drawn out, and that would require you to say that the day of the week has to match for every single event. So I would have those 4 events for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then I just wouldn't add them for Saturday or Sunday. But that takes 20 events just to run that sign at those times 4 days or 5 days a week. So that's really going to take quite a while to do. There's an easier way to do this, and this is a little pointer, and you're going to find a few of these little things that you can do with the controller, okay? So we know we don't want the relay to come on Saturday. So how do we prevent it from coming on Saturday without going down the long road there? Well, the way that we do it is we actually take the control of this relay away from the Teralus controller on Saturday and Sunday. Okay, and there's an event to do that. So all we have to do here is we know we want to do this only on Saturday. Okay, so we'll say day of week must match to trigger this event. Just click the check box. We'll click this drop down box, select Saturday. Oops. Select Saturday here. And then we're going to make the time 12 a.m. midnight. So as soon as it's Saturday, this event's going to process at 12 a.m. midnight, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. And the event we actually want to trigger here is we want to set the relay under control of the computer. Even though the computer is not going to be connected to this device, because after I'm done configuring it, I'm going to disconnect my USB and take it out to the school bus sign or the school sign and install it there. There's not going to be any computer there. But the controller doesn't really know that. It just knows that I don't have control of that relay as of Saturday at midnight. Okay, so we'll just select set relay under control of computer. All banks relay 1. Okay. Whoops. I'm currently editing event 4. See, you have to be careful that you don't do things like that. Okay. We need to set this back so that it turns the relay off at 4 p.m. Okay. Now I need to add a new event, and this is our Saturday night takeover is what we'll call this. At 12 a.m. we want to set the relay under control of computer, and that's it for that event. Now, what's going to happen here if I just leave it like that? Well, whenever Saturday rolls around, the controller is going to give control of the relay to the computer, and it's never going to have control of the relay again. So whenever Monday rolls around again, it's still going to think that the relay is under control of the computer. So I have to return control of that relay back to the controller, okay? From the computer back to the controller. It has to take back over. Okay, well that's pretty easy to do. I'm just going to add another event. And this is going to be on Monday at midnight. Okay? Midnight, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. And the event I want to trigger is set all relays under control of the timer. Okay? And that's essentially all there is to it. So now the relays are going to turn on and off during the day as they should. Whenever Saturday rolls around at midnight, the computer is going to take control of the relay. Then at Monday at midnight, the controller is going to take control of the relay again and process the events through the week. So essentially we've done everything that we could really need to do to turn a traffic light on and off. And setting that up is going to take you maybe 30, 45 seconds. It's pretty simple stuff. Now there are some more complex things you can do with this device. For instance, we know that school is not going to be in session on Christmas. So that light doesn't need to come on Christmas. Generally, a school has a full schedule at the beginning of the year of the days that they're going to be at school and the days that they're going to be off of school. So basically, we can go in here and we can configure the device to shut the sign off on Christmas. And that's pretty easy to do. Let's do that here. Let's add an event. and we're going to say on December, so we need to check that box so that the month must match, and then we're going to select 25th, so the day of the month has to match. And we're going to say at 12 a.m. midnight, we're going to set the relay under control of the computer. Okay? Now we need to return the device or the relay to the device, and we're just going to set that as December 26th, and the event is going to set all relays under control of the timer, okay, or the controller, the device. So basically we just disabled the sign on Christmas and then returned it to the controller on the 26th. Now, of course, the school probably is not going to be in session on December 26th, but this is just an example. Basically, you know, a superintendent could go in here and configure this device for every day of the year that the sign needs to be on and off. Now, this is all really great, but what if there's a snow day on January 6th whenever school's supposed to be in session? Well, that's where the new ZethNet comes in really handy. See, the superintendent can actually log on to this device from his house and disable the relay if there's a snow day. He doesn't even have to go to the school to do this. He can do it from home by typing in a web page address and turning the relay off. Pretty simple stuff, really. You would need to have an internet connection to the device to do this, because it does require an Ethernet connection to the device so that the superintendent can access it. But it just shows you the abilities of this device. Now, the example I've done here is pretty broad. I've had a lot of people that want to use this to control equipment in industrial environments. It's perfect for that. You know, if you want to make sure that a piece of equipment comes on in the morning and it shuts off in the evening after the employees have gone home, this is the device for you. It's perfect for doing that. It's very low power. It's very easy to use. Configuration, as you've seen, can't be any easier. And I think it's going to be perfect for a lot of applications out there. So I hope this kind of gives you an idea of the abilities of this device and what you can use it for in your specific applications. Like I said, I'm going to be putting out some more pointer videos as time goes on, so be sure to check those out. There's a lot of little things that I can teach you using this software and how to configure the device to do what you're doing. But I think that this kind of gives you a pretty good idea of what you can do with it. So if this looks interesting to you and you have any questions, be sure to feel free and ask us. I hope that you guys will have fun using this device. I know I have, and I know that it's going to solve a lot of application issues out there. So that's about it for this video. I'll be putting out some more real soon, so be sure and stay tuned. And thanks for